So what we got today is a 2015 Buick Regal. This one is almost exactly like the Encore that I was working on before, but this one is the 2.0 Ecotech, not the 1.4 Ecotech. This one came to me diagnosed by another shop simply as needs a new engine. But the guy said it runs and drives, it just won't go past 20 miles an hour. So I said, do you want me to look at it, or do you want to just replace the engine? He said, well, I'd like you to look at it and confirm if the engine is bad or if it can be rebuilt. I said, all right, sure. So he came to me, brought it, dropped it off at the shop, and I started diagnosing it when I got here this morning at like 9. Plugged my scanner in because the check engine light was on, and it had a B0300 code, and it also had a fuel issue code. So I was like, all right, let's see what we got. So I ran through the basics, spark, compression, fuel, pressure, so on and so forth. Cylinder number 2 had compression, but it was 60% or 70% lower than what the highest compression is. And if you don't know anything about these cars, boosted cars have higher compression ratios because they have a boosted engine, turbo, supercharger, whatever. So I said, all right, I need to pull the spark plugs. I need to put the camera down in each cylinder and figure out what's going on. So I did, and I was getting a misfire. They said a P300, but if you look at the misfire counter in the actual scanner, you can see that cylinder 2 was misfiring, and its companion cylinder, which was cylinder 3, was also misfiring. So I stuck my camera down in cylinder 2, and I'm going to show you this. Wouldn't you know, now I understand why it had a misfire on cylinder 2. Not to mention the fact that it was pouring oil out the turbo inlet pipe where the air filter tubing goes in. It was pouring oil out of there. Now, normally that could be, that your turbo oil seals have gone bad, but in this case, it wasn't. And the reason that it wasn't is because I'm going to show you right now. This doesn't happen very often, and why this happens is beyond me. The only thing I could possibly think of is this engine, when I started tearing into it, there was bolts that were loose, there was nuts that were missing, all sorts of stuff. So I'm wondering if on accident somebody dropped a nut down the cylinder and caused this. But I'm going to show you that right there. The ringland is completely gone right there, and it looks like it's been ran like that for quite some time. You can see the other cylinders are, they're carboned up, but not horrible bad. But cylinder 2 has got a nice big gouge missing out of the top of that piston where the ringland is for the compression. So what's going on there is it's pushing oil up through here, straight up and through here, and it's going out and it's going everywhere. When I pulled the head off, oil started flying out of the intake tube, or the intake side of it and the exhaust side of it, the ports that they have for cylinder 2. So basically this guy wants me to rebuild. Instead of going and spending, I think it was like $5 grand between my labor and a new engine, or a junkyard engine, he decided he wanted me to rebuild the engine with new parts. And his reasoning was, at least that way he knows that the engine is basically brand new. Yeah, it's still going to be brand new parts, but the block, the head, intake, exhaust, all that stuff is still going to be 100% stock. But either way, with the work that I'm going to do, it should be a lot better. It'll hold a lot longer. So the issue that we had when he came in, we got diagnosed, we came to a conclusion of what it needs. We talked about price, gave him a quote, and he gave me the go-ahead. He said, absolutely, give me the price and quote, the parts, let me know what it is, and then you can start tearing into it and stuff. So here I am tearing it apart right now. I got the timing cover off, turbo, exhaust manifold, intake manifold, and the head. They're all off. The only thing that's left to take off is the block in itself. Once I get the block off, then I will start pulling the crankshaft out, the pistons, the rods, all that stuff. And then we can go through and get the new parts and start putting it all back together and making sure that it's up and running 100%. But like I said, somebody has already been in this thing. Either they tried to fix it or they did something else and they just didn't finish. There was intake manifold bolts that were loose. There was a different bolt for the coil pack than it was supposed to be. Only one. There was a couple of nuts that were missing, and so on and so forth. So I'll know for certain if something accidentally fell down there once I start tearing into it a little bit more. Once I pull the block out and I get the oil pan off, I'll be able to see, because I'll show you this, there's a VVT solenoid here. And actually, both of these VVT solenoids didn't even have bolts holding them onto the head. They were literally just in the head. But if you look, let me get out of the light of the, there we go. If you look, that whole thing is caked in metal debris. And this one ain't much better. All caked in metal debris. And what's funny is, this one still has this, that one doesn't. And that's exactly how they came out of the heads. I looked inside the head to try to find the one for this. It wasn't there. And none of the bolts that hold these two inside of the head were there either. So, like I said, either somebody started tearing into it and they decided they didn't want to mess with it anymore, or the other shop that he took it to started doing a diag and decided they didn't want to mess with it anymore and didn't put parts back where they're supposed to be. Which, I'm sorry, but if you're another shop and you did a diag and the customer decided that they didn't want you to fix it, that's just lazy. You should be putting everything exactly the way it was, unless they plan on towing it or trailering it to the next place or wherever they're going to take it. You should still give them a box of all the stuff that you left that you didn't put back onto the engine or back onto whatever it is, because this is horrible, especially with all the metal shavings that are inside of this. This is catastrophic stuff. I'm guaranteeing you, when I pull the oil pan off, it's just going to be caked in metal, if not pieces of plastic and stuff too. On top of that, this right here is one of the timing chain guides. Okay, this goes in the, if you're looking at it from the front of the engine, this goes on the front passenger side of the engine, on the side. Okay, this top one bolts to the head, and then the bottom one bolts to the block, and that's what keeps tension with the hydraulic tensioner that's supposed to go on here. The top bolt was like that, barely into the head. So, like I said, once again, either somebody messed with it and forgot to tighten some stuff, or somebody didn't do a job right. But that's why I'm here to take care of this and fix this problem, so that we can get this guy back on the road. This car has only got 120,000 miles on it, and it's rust-free, clean, beautiful car, no dings, no dents, no nothing. So I kind of understand as to why the customer decided he wanted to get this rolling back on the road. It's a good car. But this is things that are serious that you need to pay attention to, especially if you take it to get a diag in one place and you decide that you don't want them to repair it. You need to make sure that they do the job from start to finish. If they start tearing stuff apart, they need to put everything back together, or they need to give you, a container, a bag, a box, whatever the case may be, of the excess parts that they didn't decide to put back on the car or the truck or whatever it is, and let you know, hey, these parts are not put back on. I recommend that you do not drive this car, because then you end up with situations like this. Or the possibility that somebody messed with this beforehand, decided, hey, this is out of my wheelhouse, and decided to post it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist to sell it, and didn't tell the new owners that they did that and that there's parts missing. Then you get screwed on that. Having a little bit of mechanical inclination kind of helps you to find that stuff out. But anyway, I'll be making more videos as I go along. Once I figure out everything that's going on inside the block, I'll make a video of the pistons once I pull them out, the ring lands, making sure that everything's good, and then the oil pan once I pull that off. Then I'll be making another couple of videos of basically putting it all back together with the new parts, and then putting it back into the car and of it running once I get the first start and everything like that. So if you have any questions, if you have any likes or anything like that, just go ahead and comment on it, and follow me if you want to as well. Like I said, plenty of good information on how to repair stuff. If you guys need step-by-step instructions on how to do stuff, feel free to message me, leave a comment. I have absolutely no problem helping with those kind of things, guys, all right? Once again, this is Travis from Kramer's Auto Repair. You guys have a nice day.